Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call to order the meeting special presentation ceremony, March 22nd, 2017. We have two presentations tonight. The first presentation is going to be by Mr. Shelley, Art in the Spotlight. Mr. Shelley?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, tonight we have our first junior Artist in the Spotlight. So we've had the Artist in the Spotlight program going on in the city of Homestead, going back in various forms for, I guess, probably 6 years or so now. And so the current reiteration is at the Seminole Theater. But what we've decided to do is expand that program to something more than just Artists in the Spotlight, which the goal was to focus on local artists, allow them to display their work and present to the community in an artful location such as the Seminole Theater. Well, now we've expanded that to also try to include our youth. And so we've come up with now expanding it to the Junior Artists in the Spotlight program, which is a little section within the Artists in the Spotlight program at the Seminole Theater. And we've done that in conjunction with Vice Mayor Faircloth and the Education Committee in hopes that we can get local schools and other organizations and youth in general just to get excited about art and excited about displaying their work in a public forum and having a night to present that and hopefully inspire them to continue to follow that passion. And so our very first Artist in the Spotlight, or Junior Artist in the Spotlight group, is the Les Jardines kids. They've put together a fantastic piece of artwork. They have a gallery night scheduled for April 3rd from 6 to 8. And so I'd like to invite them up to talk about Les Jardines, talk about your art program, and talk about the kids' beautiful work that you have hanging there. And then there's 3 examples here of some of the work that the kids have produced that will be hanging in the Seminole Theater. So yeah, come on up.
Thank you, Mr. Councilman. Mayor, Council, how you doing? Good to see you again. What you see here is art that our children have produced in part of our art program as part of our curriculum. Every year we have an art and jazz night. And this was our 3rd year that you guys graciously sponsored, and some of you guys participated. So the purpose of the Art and Jazz Night is really to highlight the artwork of the children, to give them a place where they can display their artwork. And as you can see here, these are some of the pieces that they've kind of, their rendition of some of the artists that they've studied as part of the curriculum. So, Councilman, you've been so gracious to bring us to the Seminole Theater on April 3rd, and you're going to see a lot more of the art. It's really a great event. The kids really enjoy seeing their artwork, so does the parents. So for next year, we really invite you, the whole community, to come out and really enjoy the artwork. So with that, the children.
Yeah, I understand we had, I think, 3 or
we have 3
more.
of the artists here. You want to bring up the children?
And I think we have a certificates too. We're going to present to them. I'll come down there and help with that.
Come on down. We have Gerson Perez here, and we have Fernanda Vasquez and Giovanna Gersiles. These are 3 artists, and they're 3 and 4-year-olds, and their work that they do is amazing. They study, the teachers, they put it in as part of the curriculum, and they study an artist for a period of time, and then the children do their version of their rendition of the artist. So this is their work.
And I'll just read one of the sample. I'll read one of the sample certificates here, and it's a certificate of recognition. It says, in recognition of your creative contribution to the City of Homestead's Junior Artists in the Spotlight program, we thank you for sharing your artwork and appreciate your excellent artistic talent. The City of Homestead salutes you, and it's awarded by the Mayor and Council. Where's Gerson? Very much. Thank you.
a minute, your time. Just want to make an announcement. Something really great has happened to Les Jardins the past month. We received a notice of award from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Service, Department of Children and Families, on a $15 million grant that we received to expand our program, which means it translates into serving additional children, with examples of what you see here, and with quality education for the 3 and 4-year-olds. And also, it also creating 60 new jobs. We're bringing 60 new jobs to the community. So I just wanted to make that announcement. We were extremely happy. Thank my staff that are all here that work so hard every day in educating these children. So I want to just recognize them. And our chairman of the board, I want to recognize Red McAllister. He's also here, a fearless leader. He's always there to support us. So just wanted to make that announcement just to put it out there.
Congratulations, Eddie. Congratulations. Our next presentation is Vice Mayor Faircloth for Women's History Month.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. March marks Women's History Month, and as the only female councilwoman or vice mayor in the city of Homestead, it is very fitting that I recognize those women who are making contributions, various contributions in the Homestead community. These are not elected leaders, but they have elected to lead in our community in various capacities. So here with me this evening, I have the women, the female faces of SOS here this evening. If you can join me up front. The Junior Women's Club, if you could please join me up front. And MUHED, do we have representatives from MUHED here? You can please join me up front. Jeremy? Come. So I will read one of the certificates, and I would like for at least one representative from the various agencies to give us a very brief synopsis of the impact that you have in our community and the services that you provide not only to women, but for various constituents in the Homestead community. So first off, we have Start Off Smart. Thank you for your unwavering commitment to serving the women of the city of Homestead. The City Council and Vice Mayor Patricia Faircloth salutes you. So with that, if you can please just give us a little brief synopsis of what you do in the city of Homestead.
Okay. Thank you, Vice Mayor. Thank you, Mayor and Council. SOS is housed within the Homestead Police Department, and we provide victim services to the community of Homestead. That covers just about any form of victimization, but we concentrate on domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, and child maltreatment. Thank you again.
And can you just announce who's here with you this evening?
We have some of the SOS staff. We have Arlen Gillen right here. We have Georgette Garrick. We have Flor Arzuega and Debbie Liao, the program manager, my wife at work. And we have Kathy Adams, and we have Dee Hernandez. So, Susie, I guess you're up. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, we're going to present the certificate to the Homestead Junior Women's Club. If we can have a spokesperson to talk about what you do and then introduce who you have with you here this evening.
Thank you so much for having us here tonight and honoring these great women. Basically, we've been in the community for over 40 years. We're part of a general federation and also a Florida federation, but we're here, the local Junior Women's Club. We've done various projects over the years. We got our start actually starting the Homestead Soup Kitchen, and that's one of the projects that we continue to fund annually. We try to help out wherever needed. We've purchased a canine dog for the city of Homestead several years back. Anytime there's a need in the community, someone finds us and we try to help fill it. So thank you so much. We do. We provide scholarships. So if you're in high school seniors right now, we're actually accepting those applications. I have some with me if you see me afterwards. So we try to do a lot every year and just help out in the community wherever we can. Yes, for sure. We have our members here. We have Dana. We have Billy, our president, Kathy. We have Miss Laura, Heather, and Leota with me tonight. So thank you so much.
And finally, MUHED.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Susan Rubio Rivera. I'm the director of Mujer. And we're honored to be here. We're pleased to be here. Thank you, Vice Mayor. I want to take the opportunity first, before I tell you what we do, to say thank you to the mayor Porter and to the chief for writing letters of support on our behalf for Miami-Dade County. We were able to salvage our funding through September. We're going to keep fighting on it because we operate a one-stop domestic violence and sexual assault center. And through that center, we provide comprehensive services to victims of domestic violence and sexual abuse, children, adults, women, and men. We've been doing it for 20 years, and we're excited about being here, and we're excited about the future of Homestead because I know that more and more, we're seeing more and more support for victims in our community. So thank you so much.
Let's give all of our ladies a round of applause. I know the work that you do is very laborious, so I would just like to thank you for working alongside of me and serving as the faces of female leadership in the city of Homestead. Thank you for all that you do.
Okay, so that's all we have on our presentation ceremony, so we'll adjourn that meeting, and we'll be back at 6 o'clock for our regular scheduled council meeting. Thank you, everyone, and congratulations, Vice Mayor, for recognizing women. Thank you very much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the Wednesday, March 22nd, 2017 council meeting to order. It's approximately 6 p.m. This evening, we'll have the invocation by Pastor Brock Schiffer, pastor of Speedway Community Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance and Councilman Larry Roth. Would you please stand?
I've been married for 33 years. I'm still on a honeymoon because I do exactly what my wife tells me to do. And the last thing she said to me as I was going out of the house, please remind them of the 42nd annual Kiwanis Prayer Breakfast that she has the privilege of leading. Many of you have been supporting that for years. It's 3 weeks from this Friday, promptly at 7 a.m. in the morning, and promptly at about 8:20, you'll be allowed to move on. That'll include a breakfast, marvelous music, and some extraordinary testimonies. To God be the glory. Thank you for allowing me to go back to my home when I leave here. Father God, we turn on the afternoon news at 4 o'clock. And what do we see? Death and destruction everywhere. And that's just the kids in our neighborhoods. Father, we turn to another channel, and what do we see but death and destruction in our cities around this country? Just today alone, we saw tragedy in London and in other parts of the world, and we ask why. We go into schools that have F ratings, and we ask why. Father, when we push you out of our lives, should we really be surprised? I don't think so. Father God, we live in a community, Father, that I've lived here for 13 years, and I'm proud to say we do take you seriously in many cases. Father, I'm starting to see F schools become C schools. I'm starting to see respect for the police and the firemen and all those that do their work because they're deserving of that. I see a mayor and council that takes leaving this community better than we found it. Seriously, not just give lip service. So, Father, as we go into this evening, Father, may we put aside our egos, our pride, our own agendas. May we make you the author and finisher of our lives. May we make you the vehicle that we turn to first before we look anywhere else. And may we always together work to leave Homestead better than we found it. In the precious name of Jesus. Amen.
Please join me in our pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you, Pastor, for your kind words. Thank you, Mr. Roth, for the pledge. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Burgess. Here. Councilman Shelley. Here. Councilman Maldonado. Councilman Roth.
Here.
Councilman Williams. Vice Mayor Vice Mayor Faircloth. Mayor Porter.
Here. Additions, deletions, deferrals. Mr. Attorney.
Yes, we have a request by the applicant is requesting a deferral on tab 14 to a date, time certain, to April 26th meeting.
Okay, tab 14 is deferred. Tab 1 is the consent agenda. Is there a motion? Is there a second? Second. Questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. We are going to public hearings. Mr. Attorney?
Yes, please be advised the following items on the agenda are quasi-judicial in nature. If you wish to comment upon any of these items, please indicate the item number you would like to address when the announcement regarding the quasi-judicial item is made. An opportunity for persons to speak on each item will be made available after the applicant and staff have made their presentations on each item. Swearing in, all testimony, including public testimony and evidence, will be made under oath or affirmation. Additionally, each person who gives testimony may be subject to cross-examination. If you do not wish to either be cross-examined or sworn, your testimony will be given its due weight. The general public will not be permitted to cross-examine witnesses, but the public may request counsel to ask questions of staff or witnesses on their behalf. The full agenda packet on each item is hereby entered into the record. Persons representing organizations must present evidence of their authority to speak for the organization. Further details of the quasi-judicial procedures may be obtained from the clerk. In accordance with Code Section 2-591, any lobbyist must register before addressing the council on any of the following items. At this time, council members must disclose any ex parte communications concerning any items on the agenda.
James, the one that's pulled, we don't have to worry about that, so nothing there. Okay.
Correct. Hearing nothing further, at this time, the clerk will swear in any persons who wish to testify.
Would you please stand, raise your right hand, and repeat after me? I. Please state your name.
Lopez.
Do hereby swear or affirm
Do hereby swear or affirm
that the information I present
the information
shall
I
be the
present
truth
shall be the truth
and nothing but the truth,
and nothing but the truth.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Tab 13 is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting site plan approval for Palms at Bella Vista, a residential development consisting of 92 twin homes on approximately 10.25 acres, generally located on Southwest 336th Street between Southeast 172nd Avenue and Southwest 167th Avenue, within the villages of Homestead, Development of Regional Impact, as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date.
Report from staff.
Staff recommends that the mayor and council approve the site plan request for a 92 townhome subdivision on an approximately 10.25 acre parcel located south of Southwest 336th Street, north of 340th Street, and theoretical Southwest 169th Avenue. The proposed site plan is generally consistent with the criteria and standards set forth in Section 3047 of the City Code, the Plan Unit Development Zoning District, the Plan Regional Activity Center Future Land Use Map Designation, as well as the Villages of Homestead Development of Regional Impact Standards. The applicant intends to develop the subdivision with private roads on a single entrance along both Southwest 169th Avenue and Southwest 336th Street. Internal access to 92 townhome lots is provided by a 20-foot paved private street with 3 circular lots. The property received tentative plat and site plan approval in 2008 via Resolution 2008-11-138. The final plat was approved and recorded by the City Council through Resolution 2009-12-141. The current site plan request is consistent with the site plan previously approved by the city in 2008, which allowed 92 townhome units on single lots and private roads.
Someone here from the applicant, Mr. Arza? Any questions from council for Mr. Arza? Mr. Burgess?
Thank you, Mayor. Staff, what do we intend to do as a city to improve the traffic over there with this project coming in on a road that's already tough to pass? in any direction and all that. So what is the plan that we're going to put in place to alleviate the issues that are already there and that will be compounded with this project?
The trips for the DRI are vested through the 1975.
I didn't ask that. I said, what are we going to do to the road? I don't want to hear about a traffic study or trips that are vested. What are we going to do to the roads for the citizens of Homestead to improve the traffic over there with this impact that is going to be felt on the roads?
Staff can look into that request for this site
Okay,
plan.
that's where I go back every single time, and we're supposed to be proactive, not reactive. I've asked that for 9 years from this seat. And once again, we're being reactive. So we need to start being proactive. I'm tired of being reactive and putting our citizens in a bad way on the highways around the city of Homestead. Thank you, Mayor.
Sir. Mr. Arza, you have any comments? Because at 12th Ave, I think 12th Ave, I don't know, I don't speak for Mr. Burgess, 12th Ave is the main area that you're discussing? Is that? That entire area? Yes, 12th Ave. Mr. Arza? You're on. No, now you are.
Thank you. Hugo Arza, offices at 701 Brickell Avenue, joined this evening by my colleague Amanda Naljev, representing 10 Acres LLC. As staff noted in their report, this is a project that was originally approved in 2008, site plan and plat approval at that time. While the plat was ultimately finalized and the final plat was recorded and the property is currently platted, your code has expiration dates for your site plans. And so what we bring forward this evening is the same exact site plan that was originally approved in 2008. The same number of units, the same layout, and the same types of units to a property that's already platted. The code requires us to come back before this body and do so in order to be able to pull building permits. I can certainly answer any questions that you might have specifically. We obviously have a responsibility to build portions of the roads that are adjacent to our property, to the councilman's point. As the development comes in, anything that is abutting on, especially on 336. We have been told so far since 340, there's no other development. They've actually, one of the requests from the DRC was that we place some sort of barrier so that there's no connection at this point to 340. But if and when at some point 340 can be built out in its entirety, the owner of the property would be responsible for building, their half of the portion of the road as they would for any community. So again, I'm happy to answer any questions that all you may have. I would respectfully ask for your vote of approval for this site plan. And I saw a few folks stand up. I would reserve some time to address any questions that the community may have. Thank you.
Hugo, you said something about 340th. Do you have an access point on 340th?
We will not at this time. I mean, the site plan shows a connection down on the south side to 340, but because 340 doesn't go anywhere right now or is not paved and fully improved, a comment from traffic here in the city was to place barriers, and so that our traffic can't go until that road is built in the future.
Mayor, I just wanted to make one point clear, because ultimately you all decide on this application. If there's an expectation of traffic improvements or other traffic mitigation issues that are your expectation in improving this, I think now would be the time to do that, because what I don't want to do is leave the impression that this thing gets approved and then staff is going to be dealing with improvements to this area, because we don't have any plans to expand the roads or doing anything like that. So if that's a requirement of this council as part of the application, I just want to make sure that you're all clear on what you want us to do, and we'll be happy to do it.
Well, and to Mr. Burgess's point, there's so many vested rights that are in the DRI in the villages. So at some point in time, if all of these developments trigger no improvement because it's been vested for many, many years, we're not going to see any improvements in the east side, in the villages of Homestead DRI area, which is where a lot of us live. And so at some point in time, we've got to realize, these impacts are being felt. I think Mr. Burgess is spot on. So Julio, the point is, because, this has been here a long time, maybe there wasn't quite as many developments built, but still, at some point in time, we've got to address the fact that most of these roads are still just 2 lanes. We've got antiquated intersections and lights and corners. And so, you got to give us some sort of idea of what we're up against.
Mr. Mayor, maybe we could ask James to talk. James, maybe you could talk to the council as to their ability what would be necessary for them to hear, what kind of evidence would need to, in order for them to, to make a condition for additional roadway improvements?
Normally, when you're looking at a site plan, when the site plan application comes in, one of the requirements is that there is a traffic impact study so that you can review concurrency to make sure that the number of trips that are generated from the project are able to fit on the road, that there's capacity, that the intersections around, the roadways around are able to support the new development that comes online. With respect to developments that are in the DRI, they're exempt from that requirement. They were all counted back in the day and were deemed to be vested. So the traffic report that's submitted is not the full-blown traffic report. It's sort of the internal circulation, the ingress and egress right out of the site, but it's not looking at holistically a 1 mile radius around the development at intersections or roadways that need improvement. So without that evidence or without a traffic report that details or tells you what the applicable mitigation would be, it's kind of hard to discuss traffic improvements or to impose traffic improvements on a specific development. I think more globally in this area, if it's problematic, I think your staff, Public Works Department should look in conjunction with the county as part of your overall.
Yeah, I just don't want I don't want to leave anybody with the false impression that this thing gets approved and then all of a sudden staff is going to be out doing something. If you wanted to require a more global traffic study before approving this, that would be one thing. If you want to, you'll need a traffic study, we believe, in order to impose additional criteria on them. But if you approve this thing without any of that, I just don't want to create the impression that, based on Michelle's answer, that we're coming back with some larger traffic mitigation solution that's triggered by this project.
And the point is that this is not the only project that's going to be exempted under the DRI. So it's not a one-shot deal, because there's still a lot of developable space out there that doesn't get calculated as far as an overall impact. So I mean, it's really, we're really kind of in a bind here if all that development out there has no more no more analysis done on traffic. Let me get Mr. Shelley. Mr. Shelley?
You guys are answering or talking about the questions I was going to ask, and that is, my biggest question is what can we do as a council? Because I agree with Councilman Burgess, I agree with Mayor Porter, I agree with some of the discussions that's taken place here, is that, as we move forward, we had a lull in development in this community for quite some time, and so it kind of pushed away the issues we had years ago about all this development, especially townhomes and multifamily homes, et cetera. But now things are picking back up again here, and so these projects are coming back before us. And at this stage, what can we do legally? What are our options? What tools do we have to try to address some of these circumstances? Or is the answer we don't have any, in which case we can make decisions, but then ultimately we open ourselves up to litigation? And so that's the question is, what can we do? If we even ask for a site plan, is that something that's within our purview for this particular application, or not a site plan, but for a traffic study? And then if that traffic study comes back and we decide that we want to require improvements, do we have an ability to require those improvements, or your advice going to be we can do it, but we're opening ourselves up to some sort of liability? And if that's the case, then how do we stop this? How do we correct this problem? How do we be proactive, as Councilman Burgess stated? Because otherwise, we're going to look at each one of these individually, and we're always going to be told the same thing, and that is, well, you really can't do anything about it. And then ultimately, we end up with a community that is log-jammed with traffic, and nobody wants to live here. And so I don't think that's what we want to accomplish either. So I don't know how we get there. I mean, what's the legal answer there?
Well, I think to start with, you're dealing with an applicant before you, and you have to apply the regulations and the rules that are currently on the books to this applicant. And the requirement is not for a full-blown traffic study right now. We have no idea what if a traffic study were done, what that might imply, or whether it would result in failing roads or intersections or roadway improvements. We have no idea. I think moving forward after this applicant, if you all want to correct the situation, we're going to have to go back into the code, and we're going to have to look at your concurrency section in your code and remove the exemption for the DRI and require projects within the DRI to do a traffic study so that you'll be able to look and see what those implications are, what those improvements that may be warranted or necessary.
Okay, I'll let them move on, and then I may come back.
Let me ask another question. Obviously, this body has the ability to look at any application that's health, safety, and welfare for this community, regardless of what the rule says. We as a body can decide that that's not necessarily the most healthy or safe development for the community. They're asking for an extension, correct? No, not you, Hugo. You do a good job, but I mean, we're dealing with a bigger problem here, okay? So, but I mean, at some point in time, you know, we've got to be able to fight back, and as long as we can justify, and I think all of us drive the same streets, all of us have the same intersectional problems. The DRI does not stop at one road. All of that flows into other roads. So, I mean, I know that the density in the DRI is far less than it was originally put forward, because it was, if it had gone through at its original capacity, we would be choked off horribly, horribly. So it's better, but I think I think at the end of the day, this community, as Mr. Burgess said, is looking for us to address the street traffic that flows all over, not just inside the DRI. So there's a high school right here. When you go by there in the end of the afternoons, there's cars parked everywhere, and it's a little bit of a problem. So, I mean, I think if it was, I think we have the opportunity to look at this and say it's not safe, if that's what this body chose to do. But I think Mr. Arza or his company could also come in and say they think that they would offer up some additional road improvements. Mr. Burgess.
Thank you, Mayor. And my frustration comes from, one, not just driving around town and being stuck and gridlocked as you try to go places, but I think the last 4, 5, 6 projects that we've had come before us, the biggest thing we sit up here and talk about is traffic. And they never get addressed as we move these projects forward. And I understand that we've got to grow as a city, but we're growing, but we're not taking care of what we need to take care of in the long run. We're allowing homes to be built where businesses, but the roads are just getting worse and worse. And so for whatever reason, we haven't addressed it, I guess, as strongly as we needed to. But I think at some point we've got to, because we're getting to the point of bursting. And the more growth, as you state, the high school's there's cars everywhere in the afternoon. It's a 2-lane road with 344, which is becoming overwhelmed now. As people have learned that that's a quick way to get around the city of Homestead. So they go up there and get up and cross over to Speedway and take that. And this falls right out there. And then to the applicant, I noticed the back side looks like you just have green space back there. So the homes come and then it stops. So there would never be access available back that way. It doesn't look like.
Where precisely? Sorry.
On the southern side, it looks like you've got a green space area on the what's depicted in my
40th.
40? No, there's access.
But there's no building. Building doesn't go all the way to the property line, correct? Okay. That, I was looking, I hadn't flipped far enough. Okay, thank you. But you don't want to, or they're not allowing you to now at the
Staff requested of us to put up a barrier so that there would be no.
Until 340 is.
Our paving and drainage plans actually show the design that we would be obligated to build of 340, but what we were asked was, well, we're not going to build a section at this point where there's nothing else around it. Please put, or build it, but please put a barrier so no one goes out there and then can't get anywhere.
When would you anticipate using that entrance back there?
When the rest of the road,
whenever
when your Public
the
Works
area is
Department,
built out?
when they tell us that the rest of the road has been built by adjacent owners, east and west, and that road is viable. It wouldn't open until then.
All right, thank you, Mayor. I'll wait.
Well, look, on the heels of this discussion, let's go back to the development that we had on Campbell Drive. The minimum requirement was a a cut through the easement, Campbell Drive. The council said, not good enough, right? We stuck together, we told the applicant, bring us back something, and what they brought back was a signal, a traffic light, a much improved system that addressed the needs of our community, but it didn't have to be met. It was not, they met the minimum standard.
Right.
But what I think you're hearing is minimum standards really, because you don't have to, doesn't mean that we're not looking for some improvements here. Now, I don't know if it's a full-blown traffic study, James, but Julio, we know where the impacts are, and if we could, if we pick a particular area that needs an improvement, you know where those areas are, and if it's a request from the city or a request from the council to the applicant, give us some additional support in these particular areas, saves a $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 traffic study. I don't even, maybe it's less, maybe it's more, I don't know, but I mean, you got to know where our problems are.
Well, speaking specifically about this particular project, that road is right now at this time barely used. There's only one small development next to it. But I see the point that in the future that will become an issue. I mean, and it does empty out into 12th Avenue, which is a highly used roadway.
But let me say with respect, you go over there in the morning and in the afternoon when all of the Lakeshore community is trying to get out of their community, it's not underused. They're they're parked everywhere trying to get in because they've got a gated access. And so all these cars are stuck out in the middle of the road because they can't get in their community fast enough. So it is being used, maybe not the times when people go down there and traditionally do the study, but it's overwhelmed in a lot of cases because I live right out there and I see it. So I think we just need to kind of, this is our bite at the apple. This is our bite at the apple to see if we can go back and get some improvements made. And every applicant, if we don't change the code, we should at least be specific about this application. We support it, but you need to do this for us. And Mr. Shelley, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I mean, I concur with what the discussion is. It's just for me, I think we have a broader traffic problem that I don't know that any one particular applicant can solve, because it's not like a cut in a median or a light that could solve this one problem. This is part of a larger problem that is going to require more dollars to improve roadways, expand roadways, four-lane them, whatever the case might be. It's not, I don't know that we can find a solution for this one applicant or each applicant as they come through individually without some sort of a larger plan. One, that we know what's going to happen with that plan, how are we going to make traffic better, and two, that the developers and the property owners can rely upon to know what's expected of them as they come through. Because the other concern I do have is I don't want it to where we are looking at each individual property owner and putting burdens on one and not on another, and so then we're not treating all of them fairly. So I think that we need to figure out what is the problem, how are we going to address that problem, and then make sure that we're treating all the property owners who have to solve that problem with us equally, versus, so that's my only concern with kind of where we're discussing or how we're discussing it at this point. Although I agree with everything that we're talking about, and I agree that we need to figure a way to solve this problem, I just don't know what that solution is, and that's where I was trying to get the attorney to try to give us some guidance as well of what we can and we can't do, because I also don't want to line up 10 lawsuits either that we know we're going to lose because we're blatantly incorrect. So we need to think this thing through as we do this to make sure that we put ourselves in the strongest position at the same time addressing these broader problems throughout the city and traffic. I don't have an answer, I guess. That was a long way of saying I don't know what to do about it, but we need to fix it.
Are you going to fix it, James?
We'll think of something.
Well, we got.
I think what needs to occur is, I think that there needs to be a discussion with Public Works, and we need to look at the whole city grid and see what the plan is on all these different roads. I mean, state law is that if there is a deficiency in a roadway or there's some mitigation that's necessary, the applicant is responsible for their proportionate fair share. They're not responsible for the backlog of an existing system or a failing system. And we determine, we pick what that proportionate fair share is for that improvement that's in our capital improvement plan. They pay, and then they're able to go. And so I think a couple of things we may want to look at, removing the exemption from the DRI so that traffic studies are conducted with these projects that come through. But that dovetails into previous litigation that we've had with regards to the DRI, the settlement of the 1993 agreement. So it's just not as easy as amending the code. We have to look at all those things as well. I don't have a simple answer for you. It's a much more complicated answer, but I think the whole transportation network needs to be looked at holistically, and a capital improvement plan with regards to what we're doing, how we're going to get there, what improvements are over the county, because you have a lot of county roads in your city as well. So that would be a starting point, I think, for you to holistically start looking at this to address the traffic situation and the traffic issues.
Mr. Shelley?
So I guess what you're somewhat proposing or saying is that, obviously we could, in a concurrency standpoint, and I don't remember enough about the concurrency, whether we set those standards or whether those are set by the county or the state. Because I also know one of the things that we run into here is we talk about no impacts in concurrency, and I don't have a frame of reference for what a level C or a level D or a level E is, except that when I get on the road and I drive it, I know I don't like it, or I know it takes too long, and then I come to find out, well, that's really a level B, so they can build a lot more before they even get to a level D or C, which is what our criteria is. So I think that's something we need to address as well, to see what we as a policymaker and as a council, what experience do we want our residents and our visitors to have, and maybe it's better or worse than the rest of the county. Hopefully it's better and makes us different than some of the other, but it also makes us less friendly to development as well, so it's something we have to balance out. But I think what I heard you said was that essentially we could just come up with a plan through concurrency to then have a developer pay into a bigger pot that we could then use to address more holistic problems. But I don't know sure what the mechanism would be of that going forward. Is that something that would be an option? Because again, it's one thing to change and say, well, we just need to make a cut here or put a curb there. But I think what we're talking about is pretty expensive projects that are going to be entire roadways and corridors. And that's something that we're going to have to figure out how we're going to solve and who's going to pay into, and are we going to pay and are they going to pay? So.
Well, there's certain on-site improvements, ingress, egress, decel lanes into different projects, but then there's off-site improvements. And so, there's a limit with regards to what we can require a developer to, there needs to be a rational nexus with regards to what we're asking a developer to do. The impact and the mitigation need to match and need to be succinct. So each project is going to be different depending on its location, the roadway system, where it is. But yes, I mean, you could go back, re-examine your concurrency regs. You could reestablish or look at the different levels of service in your comp plan for your roadway, your transportation element, and re-examine all of that afresh now that you're in a completely different situation with growth and development than you were 5 years ago, and re-examine that and set higher standards that would be applicable to development as it comes online.
And then everyone would be treated fairly, and at that point, we would have a set of rules that we knew what we wanted it to be. We knew what our standards were, and then we could deal with it as it went from there. All right, thank you.
Well, James, let me ask a question. I mean, let's go back to the Campbell Drive development that, they got beaten up pretty hardly, and, at the end of the day, they realized that their development wasn't going to get council approval unless certain things happened. Now, it wasn't a holistic approach. It wasn't trying to eat the whole elephant, but it took a bite out of the elephant, right? And what we got a much improved access point to the development we were talking about. Now, I don't understand why, I agree with everything that's being said, but I don't understand why we can't, as Public Works, as development, sit down at the table and say, okay, we're going to congest or the deceleration. I don't know what your improvements are. But I mean, I think at the end of the day, it is almost a case-by-case basis. There is a bigger problem out there, but how many years is it going to take us to go through the big problem? a long time. In the meantime, we've got all these things possibly lined up, and we're not looking at them and trying to address the local, because, you know, this development is going to affect that intersection to the north and to the south, because now you're going to have more cars, people trying to get through those particular lights. Maybe the deceleration lane or the turning lane needs to be 3 times as long. You know, simple things like that that could make a huge impact or a huge difference. Or instead of not having any turn signal or any preference to turning lanes, there's a lot of things I think that could be done that would give us a better project rather than, and look, I think, I agree, I think the whole issue is, but I still have to go back and look at the one development that we fought so hardly against on Campbell Drive, and at the end of the day, we got a better project. We got a much better project because the council held their ground and told the developer, we don't like this, go back. We don't like this, go back. And finally, at the end of the day, they brought us a light. So, bottom line is, I think there's a lot of issues to deal with, but I think if we take them to some degree on a case-by-case basis and look at what happens right around the development, it gives us a chance to you know, step towards a holistic approach, not wait 2 years for us to get through the whole gamut of all the problems, because by the time you get through to identify the problem has already changed because more development has come in. I don't know, it's frustrating, and I agree with everybody, but we've got this issue here in front of us. The council can say yes, they can say no. You know, it's a question being asked, and if there's concerns from the council, is this a single reading?
Yes, it is, sir.
So this just buys you time to get back in the queue to process it.
It's a single reading, so we're done after.
Right. So
one reading.
you're not in the queue now. Single reading. You're ready to go. If we pass this tonight, you're
Yes,
on
sir.
the development.
We are able to move forward with the development. That
Okay.
is correct.
So if this doesn't pass tonight, you're still in line. You have to come back, right? Or your project
We
is
would
dead?
certainly, I mean, prior to being defeated, I would probably ask you for some time. I mean, we would be happy to, if it was the council's wish, to take a look at what issues we can address that are pertinent to our project. I mean, the reality is, your attorney told you, I mean, I had already written down the words nexus and proportionality. I mean, this is 92 units. I mean, we you know, have to be somewhat realistic as to what any government agency can impose on one project. I understand the traffic concerns. I have traffic where I live, there's traffic here, there's traffic everywhere, but the law does not allow one party to bear all of the cost. And so, you know, certainly the project-specific issues that you've discussed in terms of deceleration lanes or, you know, other project-specific items are things that we would certainly be open to looking at. If it was the council's wish, we could sit down with staff, come back next month. You know, the trip generation study for 92 units can be done very quickly. I think we can sit down. I wouldn't want to delay more than a month, but we certainly can see if there's a deceleration lane or something else to our project that we can do and offer up. And if there isn't, for some reason, or because it's just not warranted, because there's just not a need for it, we would come back and at least have that as a finding and might give you more comfort to know, well, we still got the big problem, but we've asked as much as we can of this applicant.
And unfortunately, I think that's what you're stuck in a bigger problem. And we're having a discussion about a bigger discussion, and you're in the middle of it. My apology. My apology. Mr. Shelley.
As usual, says
Mr.
Councilman
Shelley.
Burgess. Yeah.
You're a big man. You can take
I
care
can
of
handle
yourself.
it. I can handle it. We would be.
Yeah, actually, I was going to say, I mean, for what I have before me, I agree with what the mayor was saying as far as, I don't know what local project-specific improvements could or could not be made because I don't have enough information in front of me, but I'm willing to, or I would be happy to wait and get that information to see, is there something we can do, at least on a small scale, to do as much as we can to improve what we can at this point in time. So I'm open to that. If that's the will of the council, then I think that's a good move. And then we have the information we need to see what is those changes, what are those changes, and try to make them as we can, when we can.
Mr. Burgess.
And in Mr. Orza's defense, this issue isn't their problem.
No.
It's been something that's been growing for years and years and morphed into a bigger headache for a lot of people. So I apologize that you're the one standing there tonight.
No need to, I understand.
As the mayor said, you're a big boy, you'll be all right. But I guess we should give Mr. Arza the ability to talk about his project without just, because my intention tonight was not to kill it on that. It's to bring to the table as we head and have a discussion that we have a problem that we need to address, and we need to make sure these developers understand when they're coming in here that there's problems and they're going to be held maybe to a little bit higher standard, or give us some help, because the city of Homestead has helped developers for years down here.
Understood.
And that's all that we're looking for, is some help to alleviate some of the problems that we have grown on our streets as they bring in their new projects. And I know that you were part of the help on Campbell Drive. It was you and your firm that helped us there, so you guys are fully aware
Certainly
of
understand.
the headaches that we have, so.
Vice Mayor makes a motion to defer for 30 days.
I'd like to come back next month. I mean, I think we can address these
30
issues
days.
quickly, and we're ready to move forward, so I'd like to keep the delay as short as possible. Thank you.
A motion was made in a second, and just because I don't know if the 30-day window is the 30-day window, James, whatever our next meeting, I think it's a little,
We could just defer it to a time and date certain of the next council meeting on April 26th.
that's okay.
Yes, motion to refer to
Okay.
a day and time certain.
Do I need to open up the public hearing on this? It's a
You
motion-
can if you want, it's not necessary. I mean, we'll have another public hearing.
Okay, so,
Can I,
Mr. Arza?
yeah, can I ask a question? Would it be possible to identify or approve the site plan contingent on the traffic study and Mr. Brea identifying any improvements so that we don't lose the month? I don't think any of you are inclined or think that this is an unapprovable project.
Well, we got a motion on the table.
I
Let's
understand.
see how that goes, because I think the council's been pretty specific
understand.
on saying, we don't, trust but verify. Trust but verify. Okay, so there's a motion to defer, there's a second. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Burgess? Councilman Maldonado? Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Councilman Roth? Councilman Shelley? Vice Mayor Fairclough?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Arza. We look forward to conversation next. Thank you very much. Tab 14 has been pulled. Tab 15, legislative matters.
Request for waiver of usage fees.
Tab 15, who's Mr. Manager? Who's got that?
Mayor, Sisters for Sisters is hosting a second annual Single Mothers Conference, which will be free for the participants. This event will provide information, support, and entertainment for mothers. They will provide free meals. There will be a keynote speaker for the luncheon and entertainment for local artists and comedians. It's a nonprofit organization. They're requesting that the mayor and council authorize city manager to approve a waiver of usage fees for the total amount of $1,125 for the use of William F. Dickinson Community Center on May 6th from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
On tab 15, any questions from council? Okay, this is a public hearing. You're welcome to come up and speak for or against. We're going to have a 3-minute window. Ladies. Hi. Name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, my name is Tanika Bennett. Okay, so the Sisters for Sisters nonprofit organization, we've been in existence exactly 1 year now, and we've done several things in the community. The Single Mothers Conference is actually the second annual. The first one was held last year, Mother's Day weekend 2016. Some of our accomplishments include collecting gently used clothes for the Theater Gifts and Health Initiative. We also collected gently used and new jeans for the Jeans for Teens project. We also partnered with an organization to do the Angel Tree Party, where we collected toys, and then we gave them to children whose parents are incarcerated. And we also did the Zoe Doll Project, where we collected dolls of color for Zoe Terry.
Any questions from council? Is there a motion? There's a motion. Is there a second? Vice Mayor.
Second.
Children whose parents are incarcerated.
Mr. Burgess?
Okay. No, as we've kind of started to establish a different role in what we do when we give waiver of fees. And so our request to the groups that come in now is that they are responsible for all the cleanup and that stuff. And, so that, because what we've had, and not your group, I'm not saying you guys specifically or any in the past or anything, but we've had groups that have come in and leave the place as a disaster. And then our staff is there working overtime, and it ends up costing us more money than what we even anticipated when we do waive the fees. So what we're asking, or what we did ask from the last group that came in last week, was that they committed to helping with the cleanup and making sure the place was as clean as and needy and tidy as it is when they leave as it was when they came in to use the premises.
We have no problem with that, sir. We'll
Okay.
comply.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to add that Ms. Bennett is an educator, and she is extremely active throughout the county. I don't see how she does it all. So I have full confidence that her working with which church is this? True Way Holiness Church, they will put on a phenomenal event for the single mothers throughout our community, and we look forward to it. And I thank you for allowing the City of Homestead to be a backdrop for this very, very awesome event that you're hosting for the single mothers.
We thank you for allowing us to come.
Any other public comment? You're welcome to come forward. You want to talk specific to this issue of waiver of fees for this organization? No, okay. Close the public hearing. Any final comments or questions? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Roth?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess? Councilman Shelley? Councilman Maldonado? Vice Mayor Fairclough? Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Tab 16.
Resolution. Go ahead, James.
Tab 16 is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting installation of public art as part of the Marriott Town Place Suites property located at 2905 Northeast 9th Street as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date.
Report from staff.
Staff recommends that the mayor and council approve the request for placement of art on private property at the Town Place Marriott Suites Hotel as it is consistent with the approved site plan for the project and with the standards and tenets of Section 3237 of the Public Art Program. The project has a total value of a little over $6 million, which requires a contribution of $30,320. The valuation of the art, as provided in the appraisal that was received, that was submitted to the city, complies with the requirements of the city code.
Any questions from council? Seeing none, I'll open up the public hearing at this time. Anyone would like to speak for or against, you're welcome to come for 3 minutes. Art in public places. Close the public hearing. Any final comments from council? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado? Councilman Shelley? Councilman Roth? Councilman Burgess? Vice Mayor Fairclough?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Tab 17.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving an agreement between the city and I3 Homestead LLC for the development of a multimodal station with retail space, a family entertainment center, and the historic downtown, providing for implementation and an effective date.
Report from staff.
Mayor, on September 16, 2016, the city received an unsolicited proposal from Axiom Construction Company, LLC. In resolution number R 2016-0992, adopted on September 21, 2016, the Homestead City Council determined that the parking garage and retail liner described in the Axiom proposal constituted a qualifying project as defined in Section 255.065 of the Florida statutes, Florida's P3 statute, that the construction of a parking garage and retail liner on city-owned land would serve a public purpose, and simultaneously, development of an entertainment center in the downtown area would provide a fiscal and economic benefit to the city. The City Council directed the city manager to implement the procedures of the P3 statute for the city as a responsible public entity to follow when it receives an unsolicited proposal for a qualifying project and intends to enter into a comprehensive agreement for such project. The City Council authorizes the city manager to enter into negotiations with the top-ranked proposer. Staff recommends the mayor and council authorize the city manager to enter into a comprehensive agreement for the multimodal transit development with Axiom Construction Company LLC AXI 3, subject to the city's completion of federal approvals relating to the receipt and expenditure of federal funding by the city as a Federal Transit Administration grantee. Mayor and council authorize the execution of the comprehensive agreement in substantially the form attached, inclusive of any non-material changes that may be made by the city manager. We also have Gail that will, assuming there's a motion in a second, will be able to go through the elements of the agreement, and then we have the developer here will give a small presentation.
Any questions from council? Is there a motion?
Second.
Moved and seconded?
Gail?
Gail? You were on.
Good evening. Nice to be here. This is a project that consists of primarily two agreements, a development agreement and a ground lease. The city will enter into a development agreement with AXI3 Homestead LLC, which is a entity formed by Axiom Construction and its development partner. They will build and construct a public facility and a private facility. The public facility, which will be owned by the city and built on city land, is going to be a parking garage of 7 stories with a retail liner around it containing a minimum of 30,500 square feet, an open public plaza, and at the city's option, there may be an additional 49,500 square feet of additional retail liner. The city's contribution to this project is capped at $33.3 million, as well as a portion of cost to develop the additional retail liner if we elect to do so. The private facility will be built by the developer on land that the city will deed to the developer, and it will be a multi-level structure of approximately 65,000 square feet, containing a 10-screen movie theater, 14 bowling lanes, a video arcade, food service, and restrooms. And that will be a private facility just south of the public facility. And that's the basic terms of the development agreement. One of the exhibits to the development agreement is the ground lease that the city and the developer will enter into. It will be signed at the time the agreement is signed, but the actual commencement date of the lease won't be until the project is finished. And under that lease, the developer will undertake managing, operating, maintaining, and servicing the public facility for a period of 20 years. It will be a triple net lease, meaning that the tenant is responsible for all taxes, insurance, maintenance, and operation of both the garage and the retail liner, but not the additional retail liner. That additional liner is for the city's use. The rent under the lease will be 30% of the retail liner rents in excess of $50 a square foot per year, and 30% of garage parking revenues in excess of $584,000. The main purpose of the garage is for use by transit users, people who are going to park there and walk to the busway or take the trolley to the busway. And so a certain percentage of spaces will be designated for transit use during the required hours, but those hours will generally not conflict with retail or theater hours, so we believe there'll be a sufficient opportunity for everyone to park there. The tenant will operate the garage, which will be open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. and that's essentially the deal. So the city has no obligation with regard to running the garage. We do get revenue from it at some point, but it's all being taken care of by the developer.
Mayor, we do have the Axiom Group, if they wouldn't mind coming forward so that they have a brief presentation. Elizabeth, if we could turn on the PowerPoint.
Give us your name and address, please, sir.
Mayor, Council, and staff, my name is Rene Joubert. I'm president of I3 Interest, and thank you so much for hosting us this evening. Appreciate your hospitality. We are, and also on behalf of Axiom Construction, we would just like to say that we have a great sense of anticipation of the opportunity that we have of partnering with the City of Homestead and hopefully moving this project forward. We are Axiom and I3. You've seen AX and I3. That is a partnership that Axiom and I3 are forming for the development, construction, and ongoing operation of this project, as Gail described. We are also looking to partner with the City of Homestead. It's something that we've been involved in the past. I3 Interest has, we've got many years of experience with other municipalities and mixed-use projects, and this is certainly one that we're looking forward to presenting to you all tonight, as well as working with you all to the successful completion of the project. Axiom Construction is also has projects currently under construction around the country with multiple retailers and other type of commercial uses, parking garages, public parking garages. They've constructed libraries, at many other facilities, and so it's someone that we've worked with for many years, and we're very close friends, and there's a high degree of trust. So we're forming a partnership for, like I say, the development, construction, and ongoing management of this property, because it's something that we're going to have to focus significant time on. What I would like to do is, briefly, if I could, I assume you can see the screen in front of you. There is a brief PowerPoint that we put together. First is just a description of the team. I've described to you I3 and Axiom. The other are our consultants that we've brought in, both leasing, architectural, civil engineering, et cetera. I won't belabor that very much right now, but it's someone, we've also been interviewing parking garage operators, other operators nationally that have been involved in other municipalities around this area in the Miami-Dade area, and we're trying to just determine who that best source is for us to contract with on an ongoing basis to operate the garage in a professional manner. The first thing I'd like to show you is we've just got a few slides here of elevations that are somewhat, they're somewhat set, they're somewhat conceptual, in the sense of we're continuing to work with the city staff in identifying exactly what your tastes are, how you would like it to ultimately look. It is our goal to make it commensurate with the other elements that are in this city, and so we've instructed our architect to do that. But as a breakdown, as Gail said, there's three main components of our project. The first is the Showbiz entertainment facility. Showbiz is a 65,000-foot facility that will have 10 theaters, including an IMAX-type theater, 14 bowling lanes, full-service restaurant and bar area, meeting rooms, et cetera. They are a destination-type retailer and an anchor to this project that we have an ongoing relationship with, and they're also excited and committed to this project. I believe a few of the City Council and Mayor, you all toured this facility, and I will commit to you that it will be the same standard and quality of the facility that you looked at. That's what we're planning to design here as well, or construct here as well. In addition to the Showbiz, we will construct a 6.5-story, approximately 1,000 space, at least 1,000 space parking garage that will be kind of the center of the project, if you will, and then you have a retail liner surrounding it. It'll be a structured, precast and poured-in-place concrete, and with textured paint, aluminum canopies, just trying to dress it up again, trying to make it tie in with the rest of the city. It will have two different points of access, entrance and exit, to make sure that both from the park and ride facility standpoint, the the people visiting the project, et cetera, there's plenty of access points so we don't create buildup and when people are trying to get out of there. Finally, there will be a 30,000 feet retail liner that will surround the project, or 30,500 feet that Gail spoke about. At this point, it's hard for me to commit exact names to who would be here. Obviously, we have not gained commitments from anyone, but we've done our homework to try and determine with the market, who do we feel like are possible tenants, types of tenants, et cetera, who might want to be here. And we feel confident that there's multiple restaurants that would like to be in the area, as well as hair and nail salons, ice cream parlors, coffee shops, drugstore, physician or dental offices, potentially a bank, and those types of facilities. So things that would complement the area, destination, people can pull in, they can go right to where they'd like to go, and then get right out of the facility. Finally, I'd like to say that we have carved out an area on the far side of the project. If the city elects, they can construct which is the additional retail liner that Gail spoke of, is the library. If that is something that you all would like to do, we believe it creates synergy for the project, and not just for our benefit, but also it becomes a destination for the city. It revitalizes the core, and everyone can go there and do everything. You don't have to get in your car to go somewhere else. And so we believe that that's something that will also bring a lot of vitality back to the core. So again, it's with a great sense of anticipation that I stand here with you this evening and recommending this project and asking for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Manager?
There are a couple of other things. The project is designed to get people out on the street, because obviously as we talk about the revitalization of the downtown, we want to create critical mass on the street. And so this is not an indoor shopping mall. This is a place where you park and you come out. And so you go down the street and you go one way or the other, and hopefully you'll stroll down Chrome and there'll be other stores as well, and we'll create a halo effect. And also a big component of this is the tie-in with the busway, which hopefully at some point will be a rapid transit center. And so to have the park and ride, get people acclimated towards the concept of driving to this garage, parking, hopping on the busway, and then finally getting on either a bus rapid transit or a light rail. I think it's going to also create a lot of critical mass, both in the morning and then the afternoons, and then the synergy in the parking garage so that it's really cross-pollination. The spaces will be there for the commuters when they need them, and during the off hours when retailers would need them, the spaces will be there as well. And the idea of having somebody else manage this facility eliminates the risk for the city, so that if there are shortfalls in the garage or any economic issues, the city won't ever have to worry about that. It'll be up to the developer to deal with. So those are really the elements of the project. Initially, when we had come to you, we had thought, I guess this was almost 2 years ago, the city might have to contribute some of its own dollars. In this case, we're asking for $33.3 million. It's all coming from outside sources. Don't have to raise property taxes in order to do that. Don't need to worry about going to the taxpayers next year and saying, geez, we have to fund the operations of the garage, not asking the taxpayers for that. So this really is a very good example of a public-private partnership where the city invests some dollars, and in this case, through our partners at the state and the county and the federal dollars that are there and available for us for transit purposes, and then also having a private entity that's willing to invest in Homestead, risk their own dollars, and with that risk comes reward as well. So this is a win-win for both the city and for the developer, and we think it's a win-win for the citizens and the downtown. And long-term, what we hope for is this will stimulate other members of the private sector community to invest in the downtown, and hopefully someday we'll see a diverse mix of housing and other stores and people enjoying what we hope will be an amenity for the city, a place that defines the city as a central focus point. The East and the West kind of get together, and amenities like this tend to raise property values. So we expect over time we'll see benefits by property values going up all over the city. And finally, something that reinforces support of the family, because what we've heard from, as you have all heard over and over again, there's really not a whole lot of places for the families to spend time, and being able to stroll down Chrome and take on some bowling or a movie or go to a library or stop at a restaurant, have an ice cream cone. All of this is part of a quality of life that one would expect from a first-class city, and ultimately that's where we think this project helps us get to.
Questions from council? Vice Mayor?
Yes, thank you, Mayor, and thank you for being here and your willingness to invest in our community. In your presentation, you mentioned that you're looking for local operators to operate the parking garage. Do you have any other plans to engage the community, the local community, as it relates to building and developing this project?
Thank you for the question. In terms of once construction commences, it's our estimate that we will have approximately 450 construction jobs that will occur on the project during the life of our construction, and then approximately 150 permanent jobs, which will be to the local community as well. Those are what we're trying to focus on is job creation, if you will, and so I think that's our best way to answer your question.
Thank you.
Anything else, Mayor? Mr. Burgess?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for your interest in the city of Homestead, too. My question goes to Ms. Sirota. You spoke about the retail rental. Could you just go over that? You said if the threshold meets a certain number, then the city gets this and that. Could you just go through that again for me, what the numbers are? And
Gail.
I'm sorry, is this
Gail,
on?
you keep turning it off. I keep turning it on, you keep turning it
Oh,
off.
okay, I'm sorry, I thought I read, okay. The rent levels are, the city will receive 30% of the retail rents. These are the rent paid by subtenants to the developer, who's the tenant, in excess of $50 a square foot.
Okay.
And then, in addition, 30% of garage parking revenue in excess of $584,000 a year, which I believe is calculated as about, it's based on $4 a space for parking.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor. That was all. I just wanted to get that.
Any other questions? Mr. Manager, Mr. Shelley.
Yeah, just two quick questions. One, so the design, I see in here there's a schedule for design approval. At what point does the council get a chance to weigh in on the design at all?
Yes.
Okay, and that'll be part of that process as we're going along to kind of get feedback of what we want it to look like and how it fits
It'll
in.
be an approval process, so the council will ultimately approve the site plan.
Okay. But that, will we have any input before we get to the formal site plan application? Because I see, because in the contract, it has 30%, 60% renderings or drawings as they get through an approval. Will we have any input along that way, or just when it comes to us for the site plan?
No, as things come to us, we'll
Okay.
send them to you incrementally, as we have with the renderings, because they've evolved over time, and we just want to make sure that there's no surprises before final approval.
Okay. And then as far as you mentioned the revenue from the parking garage, the fees for the spaces, has that been established at this point as far as what that fee might be? Are we going to charge for parking? Are we not going to charge for parking? Are those things still to be determined? And I assume that's within the purview of the operator, not within the purview of the city.
It is in the purview of the operator, but there are some guidelines because a portion of the money that the city is receiving is from the public transportation funds, as well as from the Federal Trade Administration. The parking rates that are charged need to be comparable to what is charged in other parking garages along Metro Rail or the busway, and transit riders cannot be charged more than other users of the garage. But within those parameters, and it will likely change over time, but those are the basic guidelines.
Okay. All right. I think that answers my questions. I'm excited about this project. I'm excited about the potential of this project, and I thank you guys for coming and being willing to invest in the city of Homestead and be partners with the city of Homestead to grow our downtown and really make it what we, I think, as policymakers want it to be, and that is kind of the heartbeat of the city, and really a central draw that we can be proud of, our residents can be proud of, and will bring dollars into our community through tax revenues, property taxes, all of those ways of generate revenue and economics for our community. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
Mayor,
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
hey, Mayor, how you doing? It's Councilman Maldonado. It's pretty. I'm over here. I just got out of the airport, landed from Tallahassee, and so if you hear any planes, just forgive me. Feedback. Can you mute? Hold on one second.
Did you have a question, Mr. Maldonado?
Yeah. Yes, I did. I just they were telling me you were getting some feedback, so I don't know if that's still happening.
It's better now. Go ahead.
Okay, my question is regarding the parking garage. You know, this parking garage. You know, the dollars that we got from the county and the state in regards to you know, kind of a future purpose of garage parking for the transit system that we hope would be coming down soon. Can you guys shed a little bit more light on some of that, some more details in regards to that? What, you know, how is it that we're going to be charging, you know, the folks that are going to use it for their transportation, for the busway, and is that going to be separate from those that are just going to go in for entertainment purposes?
I guess that's kind of the question that Mr. Shelley was asking about.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, it was hard to hear.
No,
so if you did answer that.
The manager can weigh in because there is a limitation because of the public transportation dollars that we use, the PTP
Correct.
funds. So some spaces have to be able to be available. Mr. Manager, you go ahead and chime in here, please.
Yeah. Did you? Go ahead.
Gail?
Go ahead.
This is Gail Sirota. A certain number of spaces will need to be designated or set aside, not necessarily physically designated, but be available for use by transit riders during transit hours. And we're proposing initially 5 a.m., between 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. Those hours may change. And in addition, the rates to be charged for transit, people who are using it for transit parking can't be more than what is being charged for users of the movie theater or the retail space. And beyond those limitations, it will be, you know, whatever, and then it needs to be comparable to what other garages are charging, other transit-related garages in the area are charging.
Okay, thank you for answering that question. I'm sorry that Councilman Shelley already said it, but I didn't really get to hear it that good, so, but I got it now. Thank you.
Is that all, Mr. Maldonado?
Yeah, for now, yeah.
Mr. Manager, I know you've done some extensive community outreach on the concept. Can you tell us a little bit about the groups that you've had in and what kind of feedback you've gotten from the different clubs and so forth?
Mayor, I think we're almost to our 20th meeting that we've had with, I guess, all walks of life in Homestead, and the reaction has been, I'd say, cheers and high fives, and people have been extremely excited about this. And in fact, amazed that we're actually going to be breaking ground soon. So it's this is something I think all four corners of the community support, and I think the other interesting thing that we've heard from people is there's a whole lot of people in this city that have to drive an hour and a half or more to their jobs every day. And the idea that someday we'll have a rapid transit system that they can park in a garage like this and get to their jobs using an efficient and safe rapid transit system has a tremendous amount of appeal. And of course, the idea that we have a center here in a downtown where you can take the kids to the movies or bowling or to a new library or just enjoying life in downtown Homestead is something that people have found very appealing. And I'd say and finally, I think people see how this is going to impact long-term property values and also just a general sense that the downtown finally, after decades of stagnation, the private sector finally has been convinced to invest. And so, as I say, the outreach has been very beneficial for all of us as we've done these, because it's given us an opportunity for people to see what's happening here. And also, it's helped us tweak here and there when we've gotten suggestions.
I want to also say thank you because this project is a cornerstone project for us, and without the public-private partnership that hopefully we form, this community will not be able to do this. And so it's with, we're very appreciative of your willingness to come down. We've already done, as a community, pretty heavy lift. When you see this building and the police station, the Seminole Theater, we really laser focused on trying to improve and connect both sides of this community. And so we've really invested in your partnership, a potential partnership. Hopefully, we can finish this deal and really give this community a quality entertainment complex in our downtown, and it just helps to just spur other investment, because that's what this has all been about from day one. So really appreciate the risk that you're taking as the risk we are taking. Sure. We're risking things together, and that's very important. And thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Mayor. We do see this as a partnership, so thank you.
Mr. Burgess?
Thank you, Mayor. I guess this question would be to either Mr. Joubert or the manager. Now that we've tantalized the public with this project, what would be a time frame, start, and completion? What is in best case scenario? Has any of that been discussed and put on out there?
Best case scenario is if you all would give us a shovel, we'll start tomorrow. We're in the process of needing to get our demolition commenced sooner than later, and hopefully we can be vertical by mid-July-ish. That's our goal. Obviously, we know we have approvals to go through, both on the local level and the county level. Subject to those approvals, that'll dictate our commencement date. Our architect's working wildly right now, trying to get plans together, moving that ball forward. Showbiz needs to be open by the summer of next year, and that's our goal. So we're really trying to make that happen. It's all a function of when we can get those approvals done. So I hopefully we'll be done by late spring, early summer at the latest next year. Don't hold us to that. Again, it's subject to when we can get our approvals done.
Thank you. Thank you. I just thought that was important to let the public know that there is some sort of goal for us to meet also as we move forward. So thank you.
Any other questions from council? Okay, this is a public hearing. Anyone would like to speak for or against this, you're welcome to come at this time. We'll give each comment three minutes. Seeing none, close the public hearing. Any final comments, questions? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mayor.
Oh,
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Sorry about that. Final comments. I just came from Tallahassee, and as Councilman Burgess could tell you, the CRAs are going through some tough times where the state is looking to remove all funding sources from it. I think this is a crucial time for the city of Homestead, and what direction we're heading to now. Again, we don't know what's going to happen to CRA. I know we've been able to get much funding, through the different sources to get this project moving forward. And so I just want to kind of point that out, as I've been up here in Tallahassee fighting to keep those CRA dollars down here in Homestead and in Miami-Dade County. Just some thoughts as before we move forward. Just looking back, 2010, 2011, just having these visioning sessions, and finally about to, and then all the trips we've made in the last few years, trying to find the partners that we found and making the connections that we've made. I'm really proud of staff and their efforts, Mr. Manager and your staff and the council for working hard and moving this ball forward. Again, we started this back in 2010, 2011 as just a thought of how do we, revitalize downtown Homestead, and here we are today about to kind of make a historical vote. So my hat's off to everyone that's worked on this and made this possible. Congratulations, everyone.
Thank you, sir. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Shelley? Yes. Councilman Roth?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fairclough?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes,
The motion carries.
unanimously.
Mayor?
Yes, sir. We got, no clapping, no clapping, no clapping.
Mayor, if I could just interrupt the flow a little, I did want to thank you all. Councilman Maldonado touched on it before, but if you think about it, it's almost 2 years since we gathered our little booth together and we flew to Las Vegas and we went out there on a floor with retailers and developers and architects and engineers and people from all over the country. And there you all were pitching Homestead and trying to convince anybody that would listen that Homestead is a good investment, and particularly looking for movie theaters. And the idea that, you know, a movie theater operator passed by the booth and 2 years later, here we're at. It just goes to show you what functional government looks like when the mayor and council are united, when they work together, it's when staff is on top of their game. And I would say, staff, thank you all very much, from Kate and everyone down the line, Gemma, and we say she's a machine, but Gail and certainly everybody at Weiss Serota have put in way above and beyond. They sprung to action, right, Kate? Kate, yeah, they sprung to action. And what happened was our city attorney flew to Dallas, flew here, flew there. You all flew everywhere. Staff worked really hard. The lawyers came up with creative solutions, and I just can't thank everybody enough for what this is out of the box thinking, and it took a lot of creativity to do, and mission accomplished. So thank you all very much.
Thank you. A big success for Homestead tonight. Huge success for Homestead. Moving forward, tab 18 is a discussion item. Who got that, Mr. Attorney? Who's at it? I mean, yeah.
Deposit requirement for waiver of fee requests.
Okay, remember at the last meeting, we discussed the fact that even when we waive fees for, I think Mr. Burgess brought it up just a second ago as well, when we waive fees, we waive deposits and we waive others that have negatively affected us in the long run. Parks and Recs is picking up that tab. So, Mr. Burgess?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, at our committee of the whole, I brought this up as we had several requests that evening for waiver of fee. And we are all gladly to help and to assist these organizations that come forward and may not have the financial ability to get there. But what we were looking at was, in some cases, we would have damage that would cost the city extra money, or cleanup, or things like that that would run into a bigger expense. And we had nothing to hold the groups accountable. So what I had asked for last week was that we have a discussion about the groups have to pay the deposit, and if the facility is returned as it is given to them with no damage or mess left behind, that causes us any overage or what we foresaw as our budget for that particular event, then the deposit would be would be returned. But one question I had for our finance department, and he wasn't there last week, was, Carlos, because some of these groups are working on shoestring budgets. So if we asked them to come up with a $300 deposit or whatever the deposit would be, they vary. What would be would 7 to 10 days be a doable for a return date to get them back their money?
Within 2 weeks.
Within 2 weeks.
And I can give you an example. Assuming the event was on a Saturday night and the parks facility, the park staff was able to clear the facility, even if they turned in their documentation, we have a deadline as to when we need the invoices or anything to be processed for that week. We process checks every week, but we do have deadlines. So chances are we'd make it into the following weeks, so 2 weeks.
So we could explain that, Pedro, since you're sitting in for Mr. Maytan tonight. So that would be something that we would just need to explain to them, that, it might be 10 days from theirs or 11 days, whatever the number would be. So, that was one of my concerns was, how quickly we could get them their money back once they were clear of their obligations. So with that, I'll leave it at that and listen to other questions or comments. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. With regard, the deposit, assuming they write a check, do you take a check? Do you require cash? Do you deposit the check? If there could be a situation where you just hold the check and then subsequent to, how do you do that?
I don't think you want to get into that because in some cases the deposit's being set aside early in time so that they can hold the facility for that date. So you're not going to hold a check. We are going to deposit it.
Okay, so
Our policy is we deposit it right away.
Or you get them that far in advance, you deposit them, and the money sits there, so it takes you 2 weeks, a minimum of almost 2 weeks to get the money back to them. Okay. Is there any other discussion on this item? Because I know we worked this pretty hard the other night at the committee of the whole, and I think there was a consensus then that we should do something, because as we've talked about before, you know, if you waive fees for 8 or 10 years and the parks fall apart, we end up having to go back to the taxpayer to get those parks reworked. So this is just kind of a fairness issue to give some money back to parks for maintenance and upkeep in case of damages being done. So, Mr. Roth?
Just to reiterate what you're saying, I think this is a fair deal. I mean, as long as we're protecting the assets of the city, we all want to help these organizations come and do the things that they do. But I'm really for the fact that we're going to have a deposit of some sort on hand so we can hold them accountable for what they do to our properties out there. And most of them respect it. I mean, there's occasionally you get something that goes wrong, but I'm totally in support of this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. Pedro, what is the turnaround time for those that are renting the facilities as it relates to their deposits?
On the permits, we write 4 to 6 weeks, but they usually get it back within 2 to 3. It's usually fairly quick.
If it can take us 2 weeks to return it for a nonprofit, why is it a policy to hold it a maximum of 4 to 6 weeks?
Depends on the day that they rented the facility. On occasions, let's say if they rented it too late, like day before, by the time the money makes it to finance and it gets like posted in the AS400 system, then it gets balanced through our RecPro system. Then it has to clear.
So 4 to 6 weeks is a reasonable amount of time, in your professional opinion, to hold a deposit for someone who's renting?
I mean, one option we can do, we talked about it, is instead of accepting a check so that it would clear, it could just be cash or a money order. That way, it wouldn't have to wait the additional time for it to clear. In other words, if they turned it, say, the day before, they made a payment the day before, my recommendation would be it shouldn't be a check, it should be cash or a money order. That way, we don't have to wait the additional time for it to clear.
I think you should look into that a bit more. I know that is not the topic of the conversation for tonight, but I asked you that for you to kind of think about how long we're holding those deposits, and if there is an opportunity for us to amend that to allow for it to be a shorter time frame, I think you should take that into consideration and bring it back before us.
Is the general consensus, the consensus is to go forward with this? I don't know of anybody that said anything derogatorily towards this, so.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Jimmy Williams here. Does the city accept credit cards or debit cards? How does that work, if that is a possibility?
The only credit cards that are currently accepted are for utility billing. We did consider it some time ago. It was put on the back burner. There are numerous issues with accepting it. It's something that we are looking at, but at this time, no, we do not accept credit cards for governmental fees.
Second question is, of course, I wasn't there at the count, but what kind of price? Will there be a tier pricing for nonprofit versus for-profit use? Is there a tier rate that we probably will use to see how we will be able to, have a clear deviation from that?
Let me see if I thought I heard you say, was there going to be a separate rate set aside for the not-for-profits for the security deposit? Was that the question, Mr. Williams?
Right, versus for-profit.
At this particular point, we have the list in front of us. It is basically the standard rate that is applied across the board, correct?
Yes, this is the standard, the only deposits we have on our fee schedule. It's these.
So at this particular point in time, there has been no discussion about any kind of a separate fee structure for not-for-profits. It's just the structure that's in existence now.
Let me ask this third follow-up question then. When a non-for-profit comes to rent a facility, is there a different fee structure for non-for-profit
Yes.
organizations?
Yes, if there's usually a separate price for nonprofits when they're renting the facility. But the deposit's always been the same for public, private, nonprofit. Deposit's always just, since it's refundable, been the deposit.
So we're talking that are asking to have the fees waiver, right? These only applying to those who are having the fees waiver. Is that correct? Is that what I'm understanding?
No, I think what we've found is when we waive the fees for the not-for-profits, they pay no deposit at all. That's been the problem. And so when anybody, a not-for-profit, possibly leaves the facility either damaged or needing additional cleanup, we've had no deposit given to us. So Parks and Recs have to fund that cleanup or that repair. So this is just basically for those kinds of circumstances where if a not-for-profit, as anyone would, if they do damage or leave it unclean, we can keep that deposit. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so not portions of the deposit, but the whole deposit.
We didn't hear you, Mr. Williams.
I said, is it based upon what the damage is, based on the deposit that you're going to hold, or you're saying doesn't matter what the damage is, we're going to hold the entire deposit?
That's correct. That's what the discussion is tonight. Pending a clean facility and an undamaged facility, that deposit would be returned
Within 2 weeks.
Right, but what my question is if there is damage, that minimal damage, and whatever the deposit is, are we going to say the entire deposit is collected, or portions of that deposit, depending on what the damage is?
We would get an estimate on the damage and deduct that from the deposit and return them whatever. If it was $100 to fix it, they'd get the remaining, let's say the $400 back. We would just charge them whatever it cost us.
I got you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir. So Richard, we don't need a vote on this, do we? It's just
a direction to staff. There seems to be consensus on that.
consensus. I think the consensus is clear. We want to go forward with this policy in the future. Okay. Moving forward, the next item is the public comment section. The clerk will set the clock for 3 minutes. Anyone who wants to have a public comment, I do have some names here. Is it Kelvin Burns? Is Mr. Burns here? Yes, sir. Please come forward and name and address for the record, please, sir.
I'm from Children's Home Society. We're implementing a new program. It's called Treatment Foster Care. And what we're doing, it's a new program that's out of Oregon. It's evidence-based. We're trying to implement it here in the South Dade area, where we're recruiting for foster parents. And the foster parents we're recruiting will be working with children from the ages of 12 to 17 years old, which is a hard group. Now, this particular children that is actually referred to us from the court system. These are kids that will be in our program from anywhere from 9 months to a year. Their particular treatment goal is to return back to their family. But these are kids that are coming from the court system that are referred by the judges to get the teenage children on the right track. It's a very strict program. Kids come into our program. There's no cell phones, the first month, no internet, any of that particular electronic devices. We're working with the judges and the guardian ad litems and all these. This is where the kids are referred to us from. So basically, I'm just here to get this information out, that we're looking for foster parents who are willing. I have some flyers here with my phone number, and anyone that's interested, that we can go further and get into much deeper on how this program works.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Sir, did you want to give that to the clerk? Next is, it looks like Jacqueline, is it Garcia? No? Okay. Mr. Talbot, William Talbot. Tebow. I'm sorry, Tebow, that's right. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Manager, staff. I wanted to say, as a delegate of the Keysgate Community of Fairways, a big thank you to Chief Roll, command staff, officers in dealing with the ATV riders in our community. We're also encouraged that the Fish and Wildlife Service for their support in the problem of gunfire and ATV riders in our community. I wanted to give special thanks to Detective Salinas and Mr. Maitan and staff for placing Jersey barriers, and it made a huge impact in slowing and keeping them out of our backyard. We're kind of disappointed that the Miami-Dade Police Department, but we appreciate that they were communicating with Homestead, and hopefully, when needed, will be there for us. If you don't know, we're living on a gun range and a racetrack. We're really tired of it. And the police department has done a fantastic job in preventing a lot of it from happening in the last few weeks. And I wanted to make sure I appreciate them. My homeowners in my community appreciate them. They're a lot happier. They had a peaceful weekend, which is a quiet Sunday. Did you ever believe that? Personally, I'd like to ask a couple of questions. These are real sticking points. It's been a number of months since the racetrack filed a lawsuit against the city. And I'd really like to know, personally, when is that going to be resolved, if it will be? One other question is that the Keysgate Golf Course and Clubhouse. I want you to understand that in meetings in the past, you saw some disagreement between two groups of people, all of them Keysgate residents. Well, that disagreement was only based upon one issue, and that was the Solaris site and the zoning for it, et cetera. And that the majority of the community is in favor of a golf course. The only thing we don't want is it to go the way of the Calusa golf course. And I think over time, this is what's going to happen to us, because there's no movement, and I think the lawsuit prevents some of that stuff from happening. So I ask you, what can we do? What can you do?
Thank you,
if
sir.
there's anything? Do we have a covenant
Mr.
that
Tebow,
was
Mr.
issued
Tebow.
with the?
I know, I'm sorry, but we've got
Okay.
3 minutes. I'm sorry.
done. Thank
We'll have
you.
somebody get in touch with you, okay? Oscar Amuse? Is that how?
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council Member, Member of the City. My name is Oscar Amos. I'm a founder of Autism Soccer. As the next month is Autism Awareness Month. And Homestead Speedway, we're going to celebrate the Autism Awareness Month, and we're going to have a racing for Autism Soccer. And I come here today to invite you personally to the race, and we're more than happy to see you participate in this kind of event. The event is free for the community, and from now on, we're going to get in touch with the Department of Recreation Department, so we can have access to provide to the school, to the district, free tickets to the race. I'm also part of the Stop Child Abuse community in Miami-Dade County and Stop Human Trafficking in Miami-Dade County. So thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Looking forward to see you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
you.
Armando? Just your name and address for the record, please, sir.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Councilman. The reason I came here, because sort of I think we're going to be able to solve some damages that you guys did to our building when you did the Seminole Theater. And I already spoke to Kate, she said she's going to take care of that. But I have other concerns regarding the Seminole Theater. When you guys do your events, you guys block off the whole front of the building. I'm located on 4 North Chrome Avenue, the building right next to the Seminole Theater, which is the Club Hayes. So I wanted to see if we can come on agreement or something where all of us are working together, where the parking thing problem in the front and on the back on the unloading side. You know, because it's you know, you guys have your events, we have our events, and we need to be able to work with each other on the traffic and the parking problem there. You know, I wanted to see who can I speak to, because I tried several times trying to get in contact with you guys, but I can never, it's impossible to get to you guys. So I wanted to see how can we go about that, who can we meet up? We can meet up with, I see that Mickey's here from the Seminole Theater. How can we all get along and work this whole thing with the parking there? And also that you guys go and put a big sign in front of my door, you know, with the whole parking in the back, free parking and all that. You guys go and put the sign right in the front several times already. So I wanted to see, you know, what can we do so like that doesn't happen? You know, because I'm a business there, you know, just like anybody there. You know, I wanted to see who can I get in contact or who can I speak to regarding this.
Your comments on the record, I've written it down here. Someone will contact you. Your name and contact information on here is good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody will get in contact with me?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Sullivan, Kevin Sullivan?
Kevin Sullivan, 1860 Southeast 6th Court. First, I'd like to thank everybody up here tonight for discussing traffic. Unfortunately for the project that you stalled for a month, that horses have already got out of the barn and they're grazing in the fields. But I appreciate Mr. Burgess, Mr. Shelley's efforts to stem some of this development that is creating havoc. Of course, none of you, except for the mayor, was sitting on the panels back when we approved 18 units per acre. Now, back in them days, I was younger, but I still stood up and objected to some of that development. So I applaud that. I think maybe we might look at this little project in a different light. Maybe you can come up with something, but that's already approved a long time ago. I have another issue, and it doesn't really affect me coming up here to speak at the end of the meeting, but I think we used to have it early in the meeting, and I think it served the citizens better. Now, somebody told me the reason you moved it to the end was because the developers didn't like sitting there and listening to us carrying on about certain things. Guess what? You ask any attorney that came here, they could care less because the meter starts running when they leave their office. So by moving them to the back, they're going to make more money. And the other issue I have is I see tonight you're going to approve somebody for the planning and zoning that's a resident. You have not addressed the fact that nobody should be on any panel in this city unless they live in the city. Now, somebody mentioned a couple of months ago that I didn't understand that people sitting on certain panels are stakeholders and probably have more expertise. Listen, there's nobody in this city, residing in this city, that can't handle any issue. I have full confidence in my fellow residents. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Robinson, did he stay? Sidney Robinson? He left. Mr. Womble? Willie Womble?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council, citizens. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to start with congratulating Southgate Senior High School for another state wrestling championship. They got quite a number under their belt, and we wish them the best for the next season. I had the opportunity, Mr. Mayor, to comment on a Facebook post that came from someone at the state wrestling tournament. The post showed a young wrestler who had just finished winning in an overtime match in the state finals. The wrestler was being bear hugged by his coach. You could see that the wrestler was exhausted. I commented on the post that I did not know neither the coach nor the young wrestler, but I know and I felt the emotions stemming from both of them. For that young man, Mr. Mayor, life will never be the same. He has now learned the art of sacrifice, the art of hard work and commitment. He understands, Mr. Mayor, what it means to follow instructions. I say this, Mr. Mayor, because these are the traits for the foundation of leadership. Being able to commit oneself to a shared goal. We sometimes minimize the role that sports play in the lives of children in our society. I know how that role played in my life. I remember the friends I gained through sports. I remember the blood, sweat, and tears that come along with organized sports. I say this because when we cut back on athletic programs in our city, our children miss out. Members of the council came to life last council meeting when there was a discussion of cyber library. Yet, Mr. Mayor, the council remains silent when there is mention of the demise of Dick Conley football. For more than 40 years, the program provided leadership and guidance for thousands of young boys and girls in our community. This, Mr. Mayor, strips our children of opportunities to learn how to become leaders. A computer will never be able to exhibit the genuine emotions shown between the young wrestler and his coach. Mr. Mayor, we need more organized activities for our youth so that they can become champions, so that we have champions to celebrate. I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir. I have no more public comment cards, so I'm going to close the public comment section. Mr. Attorney, Mr. Manager, any business from the manager? Mr. Attorney? No. Reports from the mayor and council. Mr. Roth?
Thank you, sir. I do want to give a shout out to our rapid response team out there. I called the other day. Someone had dropped a whole load of cardboard boxes on US 1 and 6th Avenue. And before I could get back to US 1, they were already there cleaning it up. So great job for you guys, the QRT team, for getting out there and keeping our city clean. I really appreciate that. I mean, it was fast. I was like shocked. It was boom. They were there and the stuff was gone. I want to do a shout out to the Southwest Advisory Committee. For those of you that don't know, they had a college kind of preparation event at FICO Williams Center this weekend. I went out there and was very impressed by some of the organizations that had shown up. FAU was out there, the Marines were out there, paramedics were out there, all recruiting and trying to teach and help the students as they're graduating from high school to go on to higher education for themselves. It was a great event. I think there was like 25 or 26 organizations that were out there, and there had to be at least 50, 60, 70 kids throughout the day that came out and showed up. So I got to hang out for about an hour with them, and it was very inspiring to see that the Southwest Advisory Committee had put such a relevant event on for our city. It was great to see that out there. I have a mention of the YMCA this weekend's having their Healthy Kids Day, March 25th, this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's a free event. They have all kinds of activities going out there, sports demos, swimming lessons, They'll have food trucks, I believe, out there, healthy snacks and kids' games for the kids. So YMCA this Saturday is a free event, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Shelley?
Thank you, Mayor. Just one item. I had a meeting with someone from the Military Affairs Committee, and they had proposed or wanted to propose to us at the council for consideration this concept of putting up military and veteran parking signs within developments that come before us, shopping centers. There's one or similar sign. The one that he referenced was the one that's in the Florida City Outlet Mall, and they have specific spots, just like you would for babies and toddlers and stuff like that. They have a sign there, and so he proposed or wanted us to look at, could we do something similar within the city of Homestead to either require a certain number of spaces of new developments or existing developments to contain at least a minimum number of military and veteran parking signs. City attorneys have indicated that it is something that's possible. It's within our purview to have that discussion. So I'd like to request to have that item put on a COW for us to talk about and see what we want to do moving forward. Do we want any code changes or to apply that to our city? So that's the only item I had tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We're definitely, someone from staff got that? Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Burgess?
Thank you, Mayor. Well, first, let me congratulate our staff and all the citizens of Homestead as we passed a tremendous project that's going to help all of our citizens here today. So I know, George, you, Mr. Weiss, your staff worked tirelessly. So congratulations, and thank you for all the hard work that you guys have put in on that for the entire community, well, and South Florida, because I'm sure we're going to have people that are attracted from all over to come down now to see what is being done. Mr. Brea, over on East Maury, if you remember where Everglades Preparatory Academy is, half of the road is finished, and half of the road needed a top coat put on it. And when Ventanas del Sol ran into the downward turn and all that, that was never done. I see D.R. Horton has bought that property and is over there building now. So at what point do we go to whomever it is and look for the top coat to be put on that road? Because that road is getting worn out. And, you know, if the road is due to be done to the standards of the DOT, then we should look at getting that done over there.
Actually, we're right now in the process of working, our attorneys are working with the attorneys of the CDD that runs that development in order to iron out exactly what you're talking about, when that road will be finalized and how it's going to be paid for, et cetera, and all that. So that's being worked on right now.
Okay. I guess David from the building department, since I don't see anybody else. Oh, Michelle is back there. Lennar is putting new condos or townhomes along Kingman Drive there. And it's where their old sales center used to be for years and years. And it appears, as you drive down there now, that there's not a plan for a berm like the rest of the development has along that highway. So I'm just wondering, is there going to be a berm? Because there's some palm trees that are in there that look like they're going to leave the palm trees there, which would be at ground level with no berm. So is there a berm? Would they have to, I mean, the entire road would have to be consistent. The project would have to be consistent. Is that a good?
Councilman, if I could pull the site plan tomorrow and give you a definitive answer on what is on plan, I would feel more comfortable.
Okay. And then also along that road, I saw some little kids playing there today because it's full of sand and stuff. Just to the south of the canal, at Oasis, there's 4 homes that look like they were started and probably red tagged. And they've got the metal sticking up and all that in there. And it's a hazard. As I saw little kids, not little, 8, 10, 12 years old, whatever they are, as they're walking home from school in there. But there's all the rebar and stuff sticking up. So we need to get on whomever it is over there, and they need to take care and secure that site, I think, too. That would be a Lennar site also.
Those 4 residences are currently under administrative site plan approval. The developer has requested to change some of the model types slightly, and so that might be the reason why you're seeing a partially unfinished residence, because they want to change the model type.
But they need to do something with that rebar and all that's just sticking up. They need to put a fence up and secure that lot or something, because God forbid somebody goes in there and just trips or whatever and falls on that stuff.
Absolutely. We'll send the building official tomorrow to look at the site.
Okay. And And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, one last.
Yes, sir.
This Saturday is the Homestead Little League will have their kickoff this Saturday at Harris Field for the day with all the teams out there playing scrimmages and having fun. So if anybody wants to stop by.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone on the phone still? Mr. Williams and Mr. Maldonado?
Yes, I'm on the phone there.
Would you like to, any report, Mr. Williams?
Yes, I want to thank the Southwest Advisory Board. I heard my colleague, Councilman Roth, commend the Southwest Advisory Board for their work this past weekend. I could not be there for health reasons, but I'm glad that Councilman Roth did share into that. And so as we continue to do more work within the Southwest, we're going to be more active with different projects. And it's certainly good that other councilmen and persons come by in some of our events that we do try to do for the community. So thank you so much, Mayor, for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I too would like to recognize and congratulate the South Dade Senior High School wrestling team for their championship. I believe that's 4 state championships for wrestling. The chairwoman of the Education Committee reached out to the team to be here tonight as a part of the presentations, but their schedules did not permit, and we look forward to recognizing them and celebrating their success at the April 26th meeting. I also would like to commend our city manager for all the hard work that he's put into these presentations for our Cybrary project. I believe you have 46 letters of support thus far. If there are any stakeholder groups or residents in the community that have not had the opportunity to learn about the Cybrary project and would love to, there is an opportunity on March 31st at the Chamber General Luncheon. There is a cost associated with this luncheon, but if you want to hear, it's worth your while. I invite you to attend that at the Homestead Palace Gardens, March 31st, I believe at 11 a.m. Absolutely. If they can't afford it, I'll pay for it. Thank you. I have nothing further.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Today was almost like a historic day. And for this council, I mean, every one of us has played a vital role in getting us here to this table tonight. So I want to thank all the council members because everybody in their own way has really taken this project as their baby and pushed it through. So you're all to be commended for your hard work. And Richard, as an attorney, you're way up there at the top of the pile. So thank you very much. And Mr. Manager, you and your staff, it's just an amazing feat. I know there's a lot of work to do still, a lot of moving parts and pieces. And I know, based on us even being here tonight to even talk about it, I know you'll get it done. We'll be talking about bowling and watching the movies here shortly. So I do have a couple things business-wise. I do have a appointment to the Planning and Zoning Board. Is there a second? All in favor? Also, I'd like to announce one opening on the Education Committee. Anyone that's interested? No? You're in favor? I'm in favor. Okay. And last but not least, is there a motion to adjourn? All in favor?
Mayor?
Yes, sir, Mr.
Mayor?
Williams.
I want to also do a shout out to Representative Holly, a state representative who got one of the appropriations bill for sickle cell awareness that was passed unanimously through that Health and Human Service Committee. And for the city of Homestead, we still have a long way to go through the process, but it is a victory for the city of Homestead to have that recognition and to have that appropriation bill.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mayor.
Meeting adjourned.
I move adjournment.